back into boxing?
I don't know. Maybe it's just unfinished business. You know, my last boxing fight was maybe going to be at 135. And my opponent said, no, I want to fight at 140 because that was the belt I had, so it depended on whose belt we were fighting for. I always thought, man, I would have been able to have, 4 weight division belts. So maybe it's just unfinished business.
Holly was a great champion, but women's boxing's never been bigger. So for her, who had the biggest women's MMA fight in history, to come back and do boxing, we think there's a chance for her to have the biggest women's boxing event of all time as well.
Manu, go ahead.
Manu, go ahead.
Guys, question for both of you. A lot of big moves in the women's boxing space. What is the long-term goals, the plans that you plan on executing moving forward?
3.5 years ago when we partnered up and started MVP, we said we want to put an emphasis on women's boxing. This isn't an overnight trend. This isn't something that we've latched onto. It's something that we've intentionally and strategically invested in for the past 3.5 years. You're seeing the roster continue to grow with the announcement of Yolanda and Holly today, and you're going to see more and more added to that roster. Jake?
Yeah, no, this is what we set out to do, and the women deserve to be on the biggest stages and have the biggest paydays, and that's where MVP comes in and has changed the game forever.
His favorite fight of all time is Taylor Serrano too, right? That's the best product in his eyes that he ever saw. So it doesn't matter the gender, it's about the quality of the product.
How do you make the MSG event even bigger than the first one?
It's on a pretty big platform globally, right? Live, all women's card. We'll announce 3 more fights next week, and ultimately you're going to have 2 undisputed fights and multiple unified championship fights. And when you look at the caliber of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, there's going to be no event that's been in boxing like that for a very long time.
Holly, what do you think about Jake against Conor McGregor?
That's going to be excitement, right?
Okay, what about Jake and Canelo?
I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't happen.
What do you
I
think?
think anybody wants to see the big anybody get out there and show their best work.
Gail, you want to go?
Jake, this morning I had a conversation with Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans told me that there's no way you would ever fight him. What do you think about a matchup with a guy like Rashad?
He's right. There's no way he would ever fight Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans retired a long time ago, did not go out as a UFC champion, and hasn't fought in a very long time. Next question.
How much did you enjoy the back and forth with the Chavez father-son guy?
Yeah, it was a pretty fun press conference. Obviously, some things get lost in the translating, but I still thought it was pretty fun.
Jake, do we see this now on the trajectory of fighting the legitimate fighters, the former champions, the current champions, or do you want to still fight someone like Conor McGregor if that opportunity comes about?
I'll give anybody the smoke, and I'm just getting warmed up in this sport, but I want the big money fights, and I want the tough opponents, and I want to become world champion. So you're going to see me being very active.
There's 2 objectives, right? One is to become a world champion. One is to change boxing. When he fought Mike Tyson, there was more attention put on boxing than at any point in that sport over the last 20 years. So he's going to continue to do the crossover massive events that bring eyes, attention, and hopefully young participation. And of course, he's going to be world champion.
Now, Jake, one of the biggest names, obviously, is Gervonta Tank Davis. 13 sellouts in a row, 3 division champion. You and him were very close to fighting. Will we see that in November?
Yeah, no, we're working on it behind the scenes to make that happen, and obviously that's a fight where the fans are going to win, and it's going to be the biggest event of the year.
What weight would you fight him at?
We're working on it, but it'd be an exhibition most likely.
Go ahead.
If people want to know, can you bring glory back to Cleveland after that embarrassing loss by the Cavaliers, man?
Yeah, no, I mean it's always sad being a Cleveland sports fan, but we still got to rock with our teams. But Donovan Mitchell tried his hardest, but it's still Cleveland all the way. Shout out to Shedeur Sanders. I think he's going to have the starting position.
You have a question?
Okay.
After Mike Tyson and the kind of stage that you created for that, is this as important a fight to you as big a stage as the Tyson fight?
Yeah, 100%. This is the most experienced fighter I've fought, and every single fight matters so much to me, and it matters for every boxer. You're only as good as your last fight, and so I have to go out there and do something that no one's ever seen before, which is stop Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
We saw Floyd Mayweather Jr. make a career out of beating Mexican fighters, trolling them. Some of them loved him, some of them hated him. Are you following in that footstep?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is the first Mexican that I'm going to be fighting, but there's more to come. You know, Canelo obviously is there. That fight is a fight that has to happen for the betterment of the sport of boxing. But this is my first Mexican victim.
Last one for me. With the progression that you've had, people have given you some criticism about who you picked, but with the amount of fights that you've had and Chavez being this one, it seems like it makes sense. What have you learned along the way? What does this Chavez fight put in your arsenal that makes you a contender for a world championship?
Yeah, no other fighter at my stage, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, was fighting this tough of opponents. So I'm doing something that hasn't ever been done before in history, and I'm just continuing to grow under the lights. And I didn't have an amateur career, so this is where I learned. And this is a former world champion, so people can't really say shit.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. We're going to
Let's
move down
go
this
down
way.
And you're fighting, your ex-world champs. Eddie Morales has seen you fight, and he said, you know what, if he wants an ex-champ, I'd like to be the one to fight him next. What would you say to fighting someone like Eddie Morales?
I don't even know who the fuck that is.
Next question.
For Jake and Nikisa. Jake, you made such an impact in boxing. Is there still a plan to enter the cage in mixed martial arts in the future?
Yeah, I want to be like Holly here and test my skills in the cage, and that's something I'm super interested in, and I think it would be a very big spectacle. Nate Diaz is still ducking, but we need to find the right opponent. Usyk maybe.
Usyk in MMA.
Maybe.
Usyk has called out Jake multiple times in MMA. They've been in touch with us behind the scenes saying they want to do that fight in 2026. So it's something that we definitely want to pursue.
Is the PFL looking into it?
Absolutely.
And then Holly, real quick, obviously, just can you talk about how this opportunity came together?
Oh, I've been watching boxing even since I've been doing MMA. I love the sport still. It's still one of my passions, and seeing the girls be able to fight and just bring a lot of good experience and attention to the sport. Started to miss boxing a little bit, so I've been watching and been kind of hopeful to get back in there, get back into the ring, and get some boxing fights. And like I said, come back to that 135-pound weight. I never got to fight at that in boxing before, only MMA. So I'm excited to come back and fight at a new weight class. Show y'all what I got.
Is boxing what you're going to focus on now at this stage of your career, you think?
Right now it is, yes.
Thank you.
Have you talked to Mike Tyson since the fight?
Briefly. We spoke.
We briefly put him on his shoulders and carried him around for a little bit.
Yeah, we were at the inauguration together and just had a good, nice, friendly conversation, and just love that guy.
I gotta ask you this: you're very famous, but when you fight in front of 200 million people, because each household is 2 or 3 people, how does that change your life? Do you have any privacy at all?
No privacy. Virtually can't go anywhere, and there's just always people, fans coming up, and I love it, but it is a lot sometimes.
Go ahead, my man.
Hey, Jake, what do you think about the last Canelo fight?
It was a snooze fest, man. Snooze fest.
This Mexican versus Cuban co-main event is a lot better fight than Canelo versus Skull.
Quick question. What do you say to someone who can't go against the big dogs? They're worried about the big companies. They can't fight against them. It's Inspired TV. You're trying to go against the big ones. They say you can't do it. What do you have to say to them?
Yeah, no, God always has a plan, and a lot of times the underdogs will win. It's a harder path to travel on, but just never give up, don't stop, and just keep fighting.
Speaking of a harder path to travel on, talk about Crawford versus Canelo. What do you think about that fight?
Yeah, no, I think it's an interesting fight, and it'll be probably the second biggest event of the year behind my fight.
Jake, with your Boricua blood, will you put this fight in the Mexico-Puerto Rico rivalry?
Yeah, for sure. It's got to be. I'm representing Puerto Rico. He's representing Mexico, and so it's a battle of the Latinas.
What do you think about that rivalry? Any fights that come to mind?
Man, it's just been such a long rivalry, and nothing at the top of my mind. But I mean, there's just so many amazing fighters. I think Trinidad versus De La Hoya, probably the top of the list. We're sparring with top-ranked cruiserweights, Musin Kaysen, Steve Jaffard, so a lot of great people in camp, and we still have a couple weeks to go, so we're bringing in some new top-level names.
What is potentially on the cards maybe in the future? How far away is something like that? Have you started training?
No, I haven't started any MMA training, so it'll definitely be interesting, but we're looking at 2026 for that as a possibility.
Jake, one over here.
Okay, what message do you have for the young kids, including my son, that admire you and Logan, to go follow your dreams no matter what people say?
Yeah, look, I'm a kid from Ohio who's made it to the biggest stages in the world. I think my story is a testament that anything is possible, especially going into the hardest sport in the world, rising to the top of it, and beating legends like Tyron Woodley, Mike Tyson, Anderson Silva, the list goes on. So really anything is possible if you truly believe in yourself.
What do you think should be the main event? Who deserves that main event?
I think Berlanga still has a bigger name.
Right over there. Go ahead.
Jake, one thing people don't realize about you is not only hard work in the gym, but out of the gym, you're a big time still on track. What have you, third and Jay Leon, seen on Julio Chavez Jr.'s last couple of fights?
Yeah, look, I mean, he has a lot of holes in his defense and doesn't really use his jab, reserves the right hand. His best punch is a hook, and he's got a slower pace than he used to. So there's just a lot of holes in his game that we're going to expose.
One more question.
What's your thoughts about Dana White entering his ring in the promotion of boxing?
We'll see. It's his second time, and the first one failed, but who knows?
Jake, I got a question for you.
Thank you so much.